Well, hello there. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Radio check 1, 2, 3. This is a 2021 Wrangler JLU. Well, hello. So, on today's video, which will be very interesting, I think, we're gonna cover the build that I just wrapped up for a customer on a 2021 Jeep Wrangler JLUR. So it's a 4-door or 5-door as they call it in Europe. And I don't know why I'm telling you this, but let's radio check it. Well, hello there. On today's video, we're going to be covering a build of this 2021 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited JLUR that we outfitted with all sorts of goodies, and it came out very nice. And everybody who've been following me on social media, on Instagram and on YouTube, on the stories or whatever, you know, everybody's asking questions, so I think it's going to be a good thing for content and for information purposes, because some of the things done here were possibly very new, and obviously they have my own personal Nixon touch on them. I don't think there's really anything really new technically, because with Jeep building and like modification of any other vehicle, in my opinion, processes are very often repeated, just in a different combination. So with all that said, I don't want to bore you guys. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, thanks for coming in. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell to get the updates. I don't post videos very often, but when I do, I think they come out fairly good and very good. If it's adventure videos you guys are searching for, check through the adventure, through the video list of all the adventures that we do, as far as overlanding, or especially like snow camp stuff or snow trip stuff, snowcat stuff. But this video specifically will be dedicated to a Jeep build information. So if this is your cup of tea, welcome. Stay tuned, and I think you will like it. All right, so let's talk specifically about this 2021 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited JLUR, as it's been called, model. And we're talking about specifically about Rubicon itself and why it's the benefit. So a customer came to me after coming out on one of the trips, after joining us on one of the trips, while the whole thing was just bare bones stock with only like 500 miles on it, literally. And he said he wants me to build it up similar to those who watched my channel, like the JKU that I had built up. So he said, let's build it similar to that. So similar, we're talking about, proper suspension, 37s, and then let's fill it in with all the goodies that are worthwhile. So here I'm gonna kind of make a note on the fact that why Wrangler is a good choice for a base as far as building something like this. So hold on a second. I'm making sure that the camera is recording, because I'm solo on my own here. And by the way, if anybody's interested, I'm recording on just on an iPhone. This is not some professional equipment or whatever. So the noise and everything you're hearing is just being picked up by the mic here. So why is Jeep Wrangler Rubicon Edition itself is a good choice? Well, let's just consider the facts that what is there also in the market that is available with same options. I don't know many, and what this specific vehicle offers is the lockers and axles and the transfer case that's proper. This is being a pretty much brand new vehicle, the 2021 model. It offers all the bells and whistles of interior, like the heated steering wheel and the heated seats, climate controls everywhere kind of thing, right? I mean, it's a proper filler with all sorts of luxuries for the interior. But why is Jeep just in general a good base? Like I said, it's just because it offers the lockers and the transfer case, beside the transmission and the motor that have proven themselves to be good. But not many other manufacturers offer the lockers or the transfer case stock out of the box from the factory like this Rubicon comes with. Why are they good? Because that makes the Rubicon edition specifically that I'm talking about, it makes it a proper 4x4. Because when you out and about and you're getting stuck or you're having troubles getting through some kind of obstacle, the flip of those buttons and locking up those, all the traction to all four wheels, that's what's going to make the world of difference. So this is why this is a good base. Now consider the fact that Wrangler by itself is probably one of the Leatherman of 4x4s, and the reason for that is you have a car, you have a 4x4 SUV, you have a convertible, you have a rock crawler now, I don't know, winter capable vehicle, you have a recovery vehicle. Not many vehicles come out that way in the box. I mean, no matter how much love I have for Toyotas like the 4Runners or the Land Cruisers, but you can't really pop the doors off of that thing or the roof, right? So this thing does come in as a very, very good option in general, what it comes out to be out of the factory. Now considering the fact that if you are building it like in this instance where it's built to be an overlander, and you're installing a drawer system, you're putting a rooftop tent, the rack, some sort of a wiring lighting package up top, you're making it pretty you're kind of defeating the purpose behind the idea of the Wrangler being convertible for the summer. But if you do it right, I believe it still is doable. Not as easy, obviously, to remove the hardtop now is not going to be as easy because you got to go through removal of the rack and the rooftop tent and the awning and disconnecting some of the wiring and whatnot. But in any matter of the fact, this is still, a Leatherman of a 4x4, I'll call it that way. And those who are not familiar, Leatherman are the multi-tool knives, right? We're talking about. So I think it's a good choice for anybody who's considering, out of the box, what do I start with, what do I build? Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, and I'm talking about Rubicon only, is probably the best recommended option that I could recommend to anybody as far as capability, as far as availability of aftermarket parts, and just parts availability in general. I mean, gosh, you go on any search engine and you look up, Jeep Wrangler, for example, accessories, and you do the search, see how many things come up. You do that for any other brand or any other make or model, I highly doubt it you're gonna find that much choice. So that kind of speaks for itself in a certain sense. But that's just a matter of my opinion. It doesn't have to be the right one. It's my opinion, and you don't have to agree with it. But if you're here, obviously, you're probably are interested in hearing what I have to say about what's happened here. And I think I'll provide some useful information, especially for those who are first timers and looking to get into the Jeep Wrangler thing. I mean, a lot of times on my videos, on the comments, I had a lot of people say, well, thank you for posting this video about this or that. Definitely helped me make my decision on which vehicle to get for our weekends or whatever. So anyways, I hope this video is helpful for you guys who are watching to make the decisions, if that's what you're after. Or feel free to comment below and I'll answer to best of my ability as far as time and knowledge, as far as what your question might be. So let's get into the outside, and then we'll do inside, and then we'll do electrical. So just kind of skip through the video if you're not interested to hear about certain things, but I'll do my best to post timeline on the description and below as far as what's where gonna be. So let's pause and reset up the camera. So now that we've answered the main question of why Jeep Wrangler, we're gonna go into the accessories that have been put on here. A lot of the choices were personal preference for the customer themselves. He was diligent enough to choose his bumpers, his sliders, his skids, and certain other items that he wants, specific looks. So some cosmetic things are obviously customer preference, but as far as like the suspension, or some of the interior components, lighting and positioning of certain items, where they went, that was solely based on my personal experience as far as how and where things would be the most useful. I mean, it's just like a common sense. Why you put this light here for this reason, or why you put that certain item there, or where this plug gonna go, or what's the best way to agronomically to position your switches or whatever, for example, right? So those things are very hard to do, especially if you never really installed anything on something like this. So this is a 2021 Jeep Wrangler JLUR. One more time, I'll repeat that. What we have is we have a 4.5-inch TerraFlex long arm suspension with Fox shocks, and then we have DV8 components, which are the inner fender liners, front and back. The tire package is a 37-inch tires by Nitro, and they're Trail Grappler MTs, so 37 by 12.5 by 17. Method wheels. The wheels were definitely the customer's pick. I'm not saying they're good or bad. I do like them. I think they match perfectly with the color combination that's going on here, and they have that deep dish effect in there. Then the wheels and tires are stopped, or the vehicle is stopped by the upgraded TerraFlex front and rear brake kits. It has Artec skid completely underneath, so the whole belly pan is covered with a skid plate. It's a Curie upgraded 1-ton steering. Then we have Rival front and rear bumpers, and also Artec sliders. And the skids are all aluminum, so that makes it even better, lighter. And for those who've been overlanding enough, they know that every pound actually, helps you get a better fuel mileage, and just in general, the less weight you have on other things, the more weight you can carry in more useful things. Let's put it this way. And then we have rigid lighting throughout generally, except the amber parts out of from Baja. KC lights for rock lights. We have Rhino rack to 70-degree awning, and then we have DZ rack, which holds all those accessories. The back part, we have TerraFlex swing out, and then we have Treasure in the back, and it's the TerraFlex HD swing out. And then we have obviously for those who like to sleep comfortably, we have the CVT rooftop tent, Mount St. Helen up top. It's the one that I personally use, and I highly recommend to anybody who's looking for a reasonably priced, very high quality rooftop tent, especially being considered that's an Oregon brand here out of Bend, Oregon. So let's see. I think that covers it up as far as exterior. And then interior, we have Goose Gear drawer system with a Dometic, I think it's a 35 or 45 quart, I have to double check, but it's a Dometic fridge in there with a dual plug system. We have dual Odyssey battery setup with a Genesis battery pack and battery management system. We have S-Pod controller for all the lighting. And we have Yaesu ham radio station, along with, I can't remember what else we got there. Some of the backup lights, TerraFlex diff covers. I think that's about it before we start actually walking around. So that's just a list of what things went in there. Yeah, it's not cheap, but is it worth it? It's not about, they say it's not about miles per gallon, it's about smiles per miles, right? So let's get into it and let's go over it. Now that we're walking with a camera, I'm not really sure if it's worth it to pop the rooftop tent up for the showing, or get the showing of the setup time for the awning. But the way the 270-degree awning works is basically, you're talking about, it swings out fully on this side, and then it will cover the rear section from the back as well. So this is a DZ brand roof rack. What's nice about it is that it sits separate on the Freedom top. It is gutter mounted. So it's on the Freedom top as well as the back section. So if you were to remove the rooftop tent and then remove the front section, you still have your rear section on, and you are able to ride with your Freedom top off. The way the wiring I did is it's all on the quick disconnects, all on the plugs. I think you see them along here somewhere, right? So basically everything can come apart without having to, snip any wires. That's one of the main things that work with lighting. The back lighting, we have these rigid diffuse lights which turn on when the reverse comes on, or they activate by the button on their own. The Baja back, perfect. So if you're going in a group or if you're in a bad weather conditions, you could always run those. So this way at least you're not getting rear-ended, or you got lighting that necessary for you. Again, this is for off-road use, keep that in mind. One thing that we're still missing, and I'm not sure, but Baja, with all the COVID stuff, one of the lights has been on back order, so we're waiting on that. And one thing I wanted to point out actually right now with the whole commotion as far as how manufacturers have parts available. So just to give you an idea, we started talking about building the rig in, say, August. By about October maybe or so, we had parts list figured out, and around Thanksgiving, that's when the vehicle was brought to me initially. And right now it's middle of February and we're pretty much done with it. So more or less it's about a 6-month process. Now this was not built in stages, so something to keep in mind. A lot of people who build their 4x4s, it takes them a year or two, maybe 3 sometimes to complete everything, the whole process. Here this is just basically personal experience based as far as what's needed. Basically like, hey, as a customer, what do you need? That was addressed. Like, hey, I want a vehicle that's capable, that has all these options, and it has creature comforts of such thing as, drawer system, fridge, basically a turnkey overlander, if that makes sense. So that was the idea here. That's why it's taken a little longer as far as, parts being available and ready on the market. But in our case, it took us that long. So if you're ordering parts and you're being kind of impatient a little bit, keep that in mind that you're not the only one, and it truly takes a lot. So RCVs in the front, these are chromoly, lifetime warranty, heavy duty, prevent you from busting up and having issues down the road somewhere on a trail. Highly recommend, definitely worth spending the money. Diff covers are a good idea, obviously. This thing has been regeared to 513 gears. So I believe this is the lowest gears you can get into a Dana 44, stock Rubicon axles. DV8 inner fender liners, keep everything kind of tucked in. So you got the rock light there. We have a rock light up in there, and they're mounted away from the rocks hitting it, so keep that in mind. I know that's something that I kind of had to tinker around with, trying to figure out. And there's another one right in the middle here that shines kind of towards the center of the slider. So we got that. So this is the Terraflex Alpine 4.5-inch lift. Like I said, it is adjustable. The shocks are adjustable, so they can go from softer to firmer. And that depends, if you're doing rock crawling or you're doing just slamming down the gravel road somewhere. Let's see, what else are we missing? So Trasharoo, very useful. Need to figure out where to still mount those. I believe there's a mount that brands make that you can hook up. This, one of the benefits of Terraflex HD kit is that you got these 2 points with more where you can attach a certain mounts that will hold other necessary accessories that you might have for this. This thing, I should have washed it in rainy Oregon. So I'm gonna get the hood opened up so we can look what's under the hood. So under the hood, this is a pigtail for a ham antenna that's gonna go here in a bracket. Then we have the Odyssey dual battery management system. So basically you have a house battery and you have the starting battery. Between each other, they're connected and they get charged properly as these all these new model vehicles, they have a, I'll just call it smart alternator. So alternator won't just charge things up as you think it will, but that battery management system is controlled by a button here or monitored by this switch here. So you click on this, it'll tell you, you know, where what stands and what you're doing with it. Genesis makes this product. I'll say it's pretty good quality, worth the money, definitely, if you're looking to do the proper battery management system. S-Pod always been a good one. So we went with an 8 switch panel. So all the wires get run into here, all tucked in nicely. I mean, you know, under the hood, it does not look like it's not factory. You know, this part you can't really, as OCD as I am, it's hard to make things, you know, fit tight and nice where they're not rubbing on each other or they're not looking tacky. I mean, if you're able to use a little bit of a protection so nothing's rubbing through, get everything nice and tight but not too tight, so it's just not wobbling on the road. And the way they have the Odyssey made it is basically you have the negative and the positive where everything runs to, if you want to power anything that, you know, that goes from anywhere. So basically you're running all your accessory stuff, the auxiliary battery, at any time, and the main starting battery is pretty much untapped. So this is a pretty good light bar, I'm gonna say the least. Rigid came out with this Adapt series. This is a 50-inch. It comes with its own switch. I believe you could switch it, you know, get it wired up to an S-Pod, but it's definitely nice. Custom made bracket to fit in here with wires going in. So you have, you know, on button, and then you have the rigid, like, will you light up the accent lighting around it, and then you can control basically from flood to a spot option on here, as well as this thing will have, it has its own GPS controller, so it will adapt to your speed. That's another one to keep in mind. So we have Yesu ham radio with a custom bracket backed by a RAM mount, and this is a magnet, so this is very nice and convenient to pull it off. The goal here was not to block already narrow windshield. So I know a lot of people prefer to mount a bunch of accessories there. I'm not a fan of that. Customer wasn't either, so we kept that very low profile, simple going. I mean, just basically, you know, build it how you like it, I guess, right? So here's the buttons, how I had them figured out. A lot of options. You have the on-road option, you have the off-road option. So certain functions like the strobe option goes away on the on-road option if you select that. So for example, if we're off-road and we care to use the rear Bajas, up, come on, there it goes, and we can go strobe. So if you want to pull into the camp with a little bit of style, you can do that way. And you have the option of turning all of them on. And if you turn them all on, you can see how many actually amps each item draws. I believe that's what those digits are all about. I'm gonna shut that off. So let's go to the rear. Let's go to the interior. We have the tailgater table, the slide out cutting board, very convenient. And then we have the goose gear. So this is basically a drawer system with a fridge slide, and the stove goes under here. So you slide the fridge, and I'm terrible at this one-handed. Okay, let's try this again. So we have the fridge, and this is the CFX 345 model. lots of options. There's Bluetooth, there's Wi-Fi, there's USB charge port here in case you want to charge up any of your accessories. Like I said, there's this tray here, so you can have your stove here from cooking. And I guess you can walk in from this end, walk through this way, right? But I'm not sure how this will work out. But so drawer system, well, I guess, oh, actually perfect. Look at that. You can slide out your drawers. For now, we just have recovery gear in here. You get 2 drawers. They go in, and then you got the table. Something like this. Makes it very, very nice and convenient. Obviously, no, this is not even like a Overland creds, but this is just common sense, guys. Easiest thing or best thing to carry with you is a Tembotas scuttle kit. And I'm not talking about this thing just because I'm a dealer, but this is the reason I became a dealer, is because this is just something that makes sense to carry with your other gear, no matter what you carry. But that thing is very, very convenient for cooking all sorts of things. I mean, you can cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner on that thing, and your dessert. So let's see, we have the button here. So controller here for this light. The beautiful part about this is you have bright controller. You have 100%, 50%, or 25%, and you can run that light pretty much 24/7 on your battery without ever worrying about your battery dying. So night lighting when you're cooking and doing other things, obviously very convenient. Plus you can turn those lights. And S-Pod controller gives you the ability to dim things. So for example, like these lights, side lights, they're fairly bright. So as you're wheeling down, you got to look through for firewood or whatever you're doing, on both of the sides. You got 2 of them on each side. So as you're cruising down the road, you want to have some extra lights, seeing what's going on in the woods, in the bushes, or whatever. You're searching for something or somebody, whatever. You run them at 100%. But when you're at camp, turn whatever side you need, dim them down, boom, perfect lighting. Everything is easy and on the go. Last but not least, I want to talk about is the skids. So let's get this thing shut. This thing closed. Another thing probably to point out is how. So I believe it was CCM out of Utah. These guys make this ball that replaces the factory bolt, and then you can run rem arm. This is the short version. They make them, as long as you want, or you can make it. You can get one that has a double output, so you can put multiple devices here. But when the passenger sits here, I can actually show. So this is totally out of my way. Now I'm not sure exactly how this thing works as far as airbag. If airbag was to blow up, will this be an issue? Probably. But again, we're talking about off-road things, and just in general, what other guys hang here can see in the airbag. I don't know if there's a trick to deactivate that for while you're wheeling and whatnot in the settings there, possibly. But maybe something like that will come up eventually in the aftermarket world where somebody will offer. Good idea to have one of these non-skids put onto the plastics, or even maybe here, so this way when you're getting in, you're not scratching these panels. This is just something that I did on my own to see how it worked out and see if the customer like it. But you can buy those in rolls and just put them anywhere, front or back, all over this area. Definitely advise AirB compressor. I advise carrying a kit like this. The simplicity of the kit. Well, first of all, this one is a dual, so it will pump the tires up. I think it's the fastest compressor on the market. It has a receiver tank, so basically you're able to blow things out if you need to. But the beautiful part is that at any point when anybody in your group that you're willing with needs some extra air in case they broke down, or you need to share compressor with anybody at the camp, or just, you know, you don't have to bring your vehicle there. You always have the ability of just giving the compressor to the person and they can do whatever they want to do with it. I do not choose to mount compressors into the vehicles for that specific reason. Number two is that when you sell your vehicle, your compressor goes with it. So why sell something that's expensive and useful for you anyways? In my case, we would always go out on a family SUV, for example, on any kind of little trip adventure to the beach or something, and I always end up deflating the tires, so that compressor becomes handy no matter if I'm in my personal 4x4, that's my adventure vehicle, or I'm in the family SUV. The other thing is, there's really nowhere to mount it under the hood, which is the safest, in my opinion, place for it to be mounted technically if you were to do it, or somewhere under the rig, but then you're running it to, you know, having it be in all the sorts of weather conditions where it's gonna rust, it's maybe not gonna perform as good. Under the hood it gets hot, so maybe not a good idea. But in a case, like I said, basically it's always in or out as needed. Yes, I can agree with the fact that, hey, you never know when you need it, so better to have it with you all the time. But in general, if you're just running out and about, I mean, you're most unlikely, you know, your car is full of people when you're running around town, and if you're doing that, there's always space in the trunk to put it. But if you're out and about, just, you know, this is your personal vehicle that you know, somewhat of a daily driver from time to time, leaving the compressor in the back, that will not hurt you, but it is always there, just like your remote controller. Or like any other tools. I mean, some guys carry high lift jacks with them all the time, although they probably never use them. So I think that pretty much covers it. If you guys have any questions, I think I've talked long enough. Thanks for watching, and I just want to give a shout out to everybody who helped. So 4-wheel parts store that assisted with suspension tuning and alignment and gear work in Tigard, Oregon. Bobby from CVT hooking us up with the tent, and Nixon Overland, who would be me, building it. As I am again, I'll repeat it myself, I am a dealer for all these brands, so this was built by me for a customer, and I think we did a good job. So thanks for tuning in. We're running up about 30 some minutes on the video. Appreciate your time. Again, ask questions in the comments. We'll go from there. Stay tuned for upcoming videos. Thanks, guys.